afternoon, Mr. Kalpin. My name is Christian Antonio Yotanka Tabubolan of L4AC, and today I'll be talking about my ethical hacking and penetration testing final project. Before we begin, I would like to share to you some information regarding this project. First of all, the target would be server3.pentest.id, as that is the target that was assigned to me. So the scope is, first of all, is to conduct passive reconnaissance, which utilizes various tools to find various data that we might be able to utilize to exploit the server. Second is the vulnerability assessment and scanning, which means this is the part where we get to find the weak points and the vulnerabilities that the server has and are easy to exploit. And finally is exploitation. Now, I researched various other methods, but today I will be talking about the method that I did use, which is brute forcing. And finally, the main objective that we would have is to obtain root access. So without further ado, let's begin. So first of all, we have to start with the very basic processes. First of all, we were going to start with who am I, which doesn't really do anything. However, it really proves that we do not have root access yet, as you can see there. Now what we're going to be using is census, as census is going to help us find the real IP of the server, which is seen right there. And not only the IP, census is also capable of finding other information regarding the server. So it would be a really good tool to use if you want to pen test. The next thing we'll be using is a DNS enumerator, and the name is very self-explanatory, as the DNS enumerator enumerates DNSs. Next thing we need to do is to use Nmap. And the reason we need to be using Nmap is because Nmap helps us find open ports which are vulnerable. And if we know about these open ports, and depending on the ports, we can use them to our own advantage. Not only for open ports, but Nmap also is capable of identifying other aspects of the server or website that we're trying to hack. And lucky for us, Nmap was able to identify that the website we're trying to hack is a WordPress website. So if you're the typical pen tester or ethical hacker, you'd immediately think to yourself, wow, I can use WP scan for this. I thought of that as well, but unfortunately, I ran into some issues regarding WP scan, which sucks because I thought WP scan was the most ideal tool I could use to hack a WordPress website. The thing about WP scan is that it's specifically designated, it's specifically created to hack WordPress websites. So it would be a really ideal tool to use in this scenario, although my attempt failed. Another attempt that I tried to do but also failed was Hydra. I think Hydra is also a really good brute force tool because Hydra has the capability of parallel attacks, which means instead of guessing one password at a time, Hydra would guess multiple passwords at a time, which would save so much time. Eventually, I ended up using Metasploit, even though it took a long time for the password to generate. I was able to generate the account and password with Metasploit, and this is how I did it. So first of all, what I did was I typed in MSF console, which led me to the Metasploit console, and it let me choose a variety of options. So eventually you're gonna be finding this panel because I used SearchPoint to launch Samba 2.2, and you're gonna have a few other options, and what you'll be choosing is trans to open. And now that we're on the trans to open panel, we'll be choosing an option, and the option we'll be using, the configured payload we'll be using, is the Linux one, the second one right there. So since that's the case, we're gonna type in use1. And finally, to start the brute forcing process. All you need to do is type in, run, and enter. Now that we have the password and username for the WordPress, now all we need to do is log in and make a few changes in the control panel. Here's a disclaimer, however. I'd like to inform you that I did not get root. However, I will be showing you how you can get root level access to this website. One of the ways you can get root level access to this site. And not only that, I will be showing you another way you can hijack this website and get full control. The first thing you need to do to get admin access, at least to get like root level access, is that you make another user, you add another user, and make sure that the user has administrator as their role. So that's what you need to do. And if you want to add more fuel to the fire and make sure that you're the only person who has administrator controls for the website, you can demote the original admin user to a lower role, and you can also delete the user so that they won't be able to access it again. Okay, like it stated before, I wasn't able to get root access. However, these are my findings. First of all, there are 2 open ports. Actually, there's 3. There's 80.443 and 1.443, and that's vulnerable. So if it's kept like that, it's gonna be really bad. However, the server was able to protect itself, and this is a really good strategy, is that the server not only has 1 but 2 fake IPs, which are 172.67.128.45 and 104.221.0.18, and it hides the real IP, which is 103.196.152.184. However, that's basically it. There are no other ways to encrypt the IPs, just other than the usage of fake IPs. So also here are other recommendations. Admin privileges on the WordPress shouldn't be easily changeable, because although I did not implement it, there are many other ways people can use the WordPress control panel to hijack the server, such as the usage of files imported and code, and also the fact that the website, it's easily scannable, and with the usage of Nmap, you can clearly tell that it's WordPress. It's very vulnerable to hackers or attackers that are going to use WP Scan, because WP Scan works very well with WordPress. So I guess another recommendation would be to just find a way to like hide the fact that it's WordPress. And also, the password isn't really the best, okay? There are no special characters, and they're all lowercase, so it makes it easier for brute force tools to get the password and username. Speaking of which, the username that I found is @admin, and the password is BINUSINT2025, all lowercase letters. Thank you for watching. We have reached the end of the presentation. I wish you a very, very good day. Bye.